A set is an unordered collection of unique elements. Sets are mutable, meaning that you can add or remove elements after the set has been created, similar to lists and unlike tuples. Right? You can define a set using curly braces. As you see here is a simple set with 4 elements, so 4 items. You can convert a set, a list or a tuple to a set using the function set. The major or an important feature of sets is that you cannot have repeated elements. So you can only have one of each item in a set, different from, again, tuples and lists. Now, when do we use sets? Specifically, sets are useful when you need to ensure that a collection of items do not contain duplicates, right? Because when you define a set by its inherently, a set cannot have, as we said, duplicate values. So it comes kind of handy, and you will see there are some ways that we find unique number of even very large set lists or tuples by converting them into sets, which is a very kind of nifty way of finding the number of unique elements of a list by just easily converting it into a set. Common operations that you might want to do includes adding, of course, and removing elements. And since these are sets, if you remember from some math course maybe somewhere, that you can do a union, intersection, or a difference operation between sets. So this is kind of the same concept. In Python, you can actually do these operations. So let's go to our VS Code environment. I'm going to create a new file. It's called lecture1 sets.py, and then we'll pretty much do the same thing that we did before for tuples and dictionaries and lists. Right? We're going to cover these major operations. All right, so adding an element, removing an element, or set of some elements, and then looking at union, intersection, and difference operations. Right. So starting with something simple, we can define a set, as we said, using curly braces. So this is a set, and if I want to add an element to this set, I can either use the method add, simply adds adds an element, adds an item, so it would be fruits. And if I run this, select Shift Enter, we'll see that orange is added. And remember, a set is an unordered collection of elements. So this being the beginning doesn't mean much from Python's perspective. Right? There is no specific order in the elements, so the way you see them is not exactly the way they are, in a way, or they have to be. All right. If you want to add, similar to what we saw for lists and sets, for tuples, you can also add multiple values or items simultaneously. So let's say if I want to add multiple items, I can use the method update, and let's just add a bunch of numbers. And then if I print fruits, let's run these all together. So I start with apple, banana, cherry, and then I add one, which is orange, and then I get an updated set, and then I use the method update to add multiple items. So add one item only, add multiple items at once. Alright, can also remove elements. There are two methods you can use to remove elements. The first one is the method remove. Right? If I have a set like this, I can just say colors.remove and then specify the item that I want to remove. And if I print that, you will see that green now is removed from my set. So I'm gonna run this. You can see that it's only it only contains blue and red. Other method that you can use is discard. So this one I'm gonna put here, removes an element. What you can do is that you can also use discard. So colors.discard, and let's say you want to discard red, blue, maybe I'm going to add something else there, purple. You can use the method discard, right? The main difference is that let me run this and you will see the way they operate. I should print colors. Right. Now let's run this. Alright, so colors, blue, purple, red. Green is removed, and then I'm removing red, so blue and purple. Now what is the major difference between these two methods? Well, here is the major difference. If I use, let's say I say color.remove, colors.remove, and actually let me modify that. Let's use orange here, which is not an element in this list. It's not an item in this list. So if I run that, you see I get an error. It tells me that, well, there is no orange item named orange in this set to remove. So you'll get an error. Whereas if I actually, I'm going to comment this out, and if I use orange here and I run this code, I don't get an error, right? So here is exactly the difference. Remove method removes an item if it exists. If it doesn't exist, it returns an error. Whereas discard removes an item if it exists, and if it doesn't exist, there is no error. It just moves on, basically. So depending on if you want to get an error if an item exists in a set or not, you might use one of these specific methods for removing elements from a set.